welcome everybody. It's your boy, the Versace Stoner. We're in another episode of VSW. Today, we have a very special guest with us, the one and only Dante Dio. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, by the way.
I just happened to catch you wrestling last Thursday. I have to say, rather impressive.
Thank you.
A lot of
Have-
fun,
oh, yeah, it was a tons.
but that couldn't have been your first match.
No, November will mark my 9 years in this business.
Wow, that's impressive. 9 years.
Yeah, I never thought I would make it this far.
Where'd you get your beginnings at? Where'd you start off at?
I started training at the Institution of Professional Wrestling in Syracuse, New York, about 35 minutes from where I live. The head trainer there, his name is uh, Zachary Springate III, and his assistant trainer is Isis Effects. Springate trained with Killer Kowalski out in Mass area. And a lot of guys that go to the Institute, they're really good. Um, in my eyes, I mean, there's a ton of great schools in Syracuse. But it's definitely one of my favorite places I've ever trained.
Nice, nice. And hearing that rich Kowalski heritage, we're lucky here in New England that we have that. I think that enhanced a lot of schools. A lot of people taking what they've learned from him and passing it on to those next generations.
Oh yeah, the lineage I'm lucky to have with my trainers is insane. Like I'm very very lucky.
But I think that makes for a good experience. You're coming in with good fundamentals. You're coming in learning the right way, and this sets up for success.
Yeah,
I mean, I know everybody trains differently, and some can't afford schools or go to schools and do all that. But I feel like you really want to be serious. Try to make an effort. Do the best you can to get into a notable, reputable school. Learn from somebody reputable, even
and
if it's a year or two, and just get that fundamental learning.
the basics is so key to everything. Anyone down the line can teach you how to do the flips, the moves, but the footwork, the basics, the fundamentals of everything is so important. And I've learned like 8 different ways on how to put a headlock on because I've gone I started out at the Institute. I was there for like 5 years, love it. But I've gone out and learned from a bunch of different other people's. I've learned from Danny Cage. I've done seminars down in the Monster Factories more times than I can count because I love it down there. Um, right now, I'm at UWE in Oneida, New York, training. I I do seminars anytime I can with Uncle Bob because I love Uncle Bob. Such a great
Yep.
guy. Um, I go literally anywhere I go, I try to pick people's brain because, like I said, there's 8, 10 different ways to put a headlock on, and you find which one works for you. But the
Yeah, I mean,
fundamental is
the
so important.
fundamentals. The fundamentals are important. Like I won't. I mean, obviously, I'm not a wrestler. I wanted to be a wrestler. I tried to be a wrestler. I was too small at this. I was like 5'8", 140 pounds, and at the time I tried to be, it just they weren't looking for that. That was not
No,
in the scene of pro wrestling.
The
Um,
the um the field or the what was right back like even just 9 years ago or even 10 years ago to now, like back in 20, it was 2010 when I first started training. um I couldn't find a wrestling school. The closest wrestling school I could find was down in Florida, and it was Florida Championship Wrestling. That was the closest wrestling school back in 2010 that I could find on the internet. And now you go on Facebook and you can find wrestling schools like that.
yeah, I mean, the only one I knew was honestly the Killer Kowalski school, and I went down there. And again, I was a young kid. I just got out of high school, but I was too small. And they were like, "We can't use you as a wrestler." Da, da, da. And I'm like, there goes my hopes and dreams." I did find boxing though for a little bit, and that was fun. Always kept the passion alive. Took some time off of everything, and then came back in through the media end of it, doing podcasting and stuff, and getting really into the indie scene more so than like major WWE and all of that. I do watch it, but my main passion now has been the independent scene since like 2017. Um, but you're right. The industry has changed. When I went in there, you had stars that were, big. In the '80s, there was only big guys.
Yeah,
The same thing. You didn't really start seeing those little guys until like Eddie Guerrero started really making moves on the scene, and then other people started to make moves. And it's like, okay, well, there is some value in these little like, guys. Let's start, bringing in. Now, if you look at a locker room, it's very inclusive. Totally, everybody's a different size.
there's small, tall, heavy set, skinny people. Like it's all over the place. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong being, big guy in wrestling, skinny person, tall, short, nothing wrong with that stuff. But you're right. There's definitely different. Back then, it was all about larger than life, and you had to portray that. You had to be big. You had to know how to fight, and you had to be in the gym 24/7. And like, yes, you should. Still in the indies, if you want to make it, you should be hitting the gym all the time. But like, back then, it was like literally you had to look this certain view, and now like before it was like the scale was like this big, and now it's like
Well, I
this.
think people recognize wrestlers as being human beings, and they're like, okay, well, let them be human a little bit. And the wrestler's like, well, sure, I'll be human. I'll do mundane things. I won't go to the gym every day. I'll show that I'm having a cheat day. Where back then, if you were the wrestler, whatever you were, that's all we saw. We didn't know anything else about your
Yeah.
personal life unless you really dug. Now, granted, social media has helped grant us, give us all sorts of info and insight. And it's like a 50-50 story. Because I kind of like those days where you would just see a character for what they are, and like you said, even like 2010, a lot of the wrestlers you would see them on TV, but you wouldn't know their whole personal life. You wouldn't know
No.
what they're doing later that night or last weekend.
Who
Today, I feel like
who
you can find anything.
who they're dating, when they broke up with someone. Man, what you do in your personal life, I don't care. I want to know when I'm watching wrestling. I want to know your wrestling gimmick. I like your character, what the wrestling world is for you. I don't care who you're dating, your personal life.
Yeah.
That's two separate entities. I care about you as a wrestler. I could sit there and be like, as a person, I can hate your guts, but as a wrestler, I can love you. You could be the most. I can love watching your matches, enjoy watching your match.
Well, we do it in Hollywood, right? Don't we like watch like movies with people? We might like the character, but we might not really care too much for the actor.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
And vice versa. We might hate them in that role, but we really like that actor in another movie. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing, and that's how I look at wrestling. I don't really get down on as much as the internet kind of plays. And the internet's a very vile place when it comes to wrestling. I mean, it's turned into like a toxic war zone, which wasn't there prior. And again, why I kind of just like staying in the indie scene. You don't really get that. People go to shows because they enjoy it, on the independent level. They don't really go there to talk trash about the promoter or the promotion or to
No.
down anybody. They go there to entertain the fans, maybe make a few bucks, and have some fun because it's a passion.
And then with the fans, you get to sit there, like even just being a fan, you get to interact with the wrestlers a lot more. You can actually have conversations with them. They'll interact with you. I mean, so it is a lot more. You have a lot more connections with the wrestlers other than just, oh, I see him on TV. It's more of like I can actually sit during in the mission and have a 5-minute conversation with them and just talk.
And it won't be $5,000 for the
Yeah,
meeting.
exactly.
And again, that kind of makes you. It's more bonded. I feel, and definitely much more of an intimate setting. Again, you're closer to the ring. You get that intermission time. You're sitting front row. If most likely the bad guy is gonna pick on you, a good guy's gonna come and slap your hand. A little kid might be used as a weapon. Like anything can happen. Um, so let me ask you. You started around then. You were training there. When did you have your like first matches? When did that start to take place?
It was November of 2015 was when I had my first match. Our our school was deciding to have like a student showcase, invite a couple of schools nearby, a couple connections, have a little showcase for the students in school. I got told, hey, you might want to get stuff. You might have a match. So I asked the guys what I needed to get. They told me boots, kick pads, and shorts. So I went out and bought those. And then I didn't even know I was gonna have the match until the day of, but I did invite some family there just in case. And it was a tag team match. It was my first ever match. I still have it on. Uh, they recorded it, and I bought a bunch of CDs, and they burned it on the CDs. And I have that CD still around, so I can go back and watch that awfully god first match. But it was shoot on me. It was a straight up like day of like, hey, you're teaming with this person. I think my first big move I've ever done in wrestling in a match was a Stone Cold Stunner.
It's like, welcome to the business, though. Here we go.
Hey, it wasn't something I wanted to do. They asked me like, hey, what's some big stuff you can do? I don't know, man. It's my first match. So they went, you can do a stunner, right? I'm like, who can't do a stunner? And they're like, all right, there's your big move. All right.
And now looking back, it's like I would never do a stunner.
No. I would never. Maybe, but
Well,
no.
maybe, but not like that. Like, yeah,
No.
but I guess if you look at 2010, it was probably like WWE was still using Austin a lot, and
Well,
things, it was still riding.
well, anyone in like even nowadays, you do a stunner, you're gonna get that cheap pop because people, oh, Stone Cold, you're always gonna get a pop doing a Stone Cold stunner unless you sell it very, very badly.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, then it can kind of go the opposite way. But yeah, I mean, any kind of those retro moves, you even see some people like will hit a leg drop and people will go wild.
Yeah.
Or a people's elbow if they're risky enough. That one they don't really copy that. So you will see the stunner.
I've seen the people's elbow, but it's mostly like it's never taken serious. It's mostly always like joke around, play around, like trying to get the guy you're wrestling to pop.
Yeah. So now you said you started off there tagging it up. Have you been mostly a tag wrestler?
No, I've lately for the last like I want to say probably 5 years of my career has been all single wrestling, and I might even be dating myself wrong because um, when I started, I just did the tag. I only tagged my partner twice. Did a bunch of single stuff, kind of just at that time when you first start out, you do a lot of jobs. And one of my buddies at the school, Ronnie Ribs, the SOG Ronnie Ribs, he asked me one day, "Hey, I'm going to Indiana. You want to come with me?" Well, in the business, when someone asks you to go for a ride, you go. Like to wrestle, to even just shake some hands, just for the experience, you go. And I said yes. And I went to Indiana, got to wrestle 2 nights. It was 2 nights in Indiana. The first night was a tag match. Um, against I was teaming with a guy from Showcase. He actually came up with us. And the second night I went against the Fellowship, Osiris or GA West,
Yep.
depending on what company, and Ronnie Ribs. Went against them, did a really good job, and I kept getting invited back with Ronnie to travel. So he brought me up to Showcase Pro Wrestling up in Rhode Island. Sorry, he would bring me up there, and
Black
yeah,
right, Chris.
yep,
There's another
and
Killer Kowalski, man. There you go.
yep. And at the time, the Fellowship was their tag team champions, and they used me as like an apprentice. So I was the apprentice to the Fellowship. I was a fan. The storyline there was I was a fan that loved the Fellowship so much that they were about to lose that I jumped in. I jumped and saved them. Like a guy went to go pin him after hitting a move, and I ran up to the ring and pulled his foot out and got him DQ'd because someone touched a wrestler.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole commotion about that because oh no, fan like
Nobody knowing
basically
what's going on. Some people are
yeah.
like, "Oh, it's work." Other people are like, "What the hell? Is that
Yeah.
real?"
So that started me as being an apprentice. So I started rolling with them every show for showcase. I was going out there for like a couple of years, learning my stuff. And I was traveling with Ronnie every time he was going somewhere. I was in the car with him. I spent so many miles and so many hours in that car with him. Um, we used to book the towns. He would ask me like, "How would you book this? How would you do this?" We talk about what's going on in the wrestling at the time. So like, I was doing a mix of tags in single wrestling. And then when Ronnie got hurt, I was filling in a lot more as a member of the fellowship. So I was doing a lot more tag stuff with Ronnie, with Osiris, with the fellowship. And then we all Osiris started blowing up a little bit. Ronnie started blowing up. He actually ended up getting a WWE tryout. And so I kind of got pushed to the wayside because just things happen. Places wanted
Yeah.
him, places wanted Osiris. And I was like, well, I don't want to stand here and do nothing. So I started reaching out more, being a single wrestler. Um, Always love tag wrestling. I always have a special place in the heart because it's a blending of styles, and I love it. Um,
It's
and
something
it's
I
just
grew up with loving. Like, I mean, granted, like I said, I'm not a wrestler. I mean, I've done. Like I was gonna say earlier, I've done some fantasy camps and stuff, and like, um, that was the whole point of that kind of thing. That when you were talking about, the fundamentals, those fundamentals are key because I remember having to like do the ropes and stuff, and just learning that was like hard. But besides all that, to get to the original point though of tag wrestling's held special because when I grew up, growing up as a young kid, granted, yeah, Hulk Hogan was the man and Macho King was running wild and Ultimate Warrior and all this stuff was cool. But for me personally, like what got me was like people like Demolition, the
yep.
Heart Foundation, and the British Bulldog, and even the Conquistadors, like these tag teams that were just coming out of nowhere doing stuff. And it kept going as the generation. I was always been just a big tag team wrestling. So when I see it on the indie, it's like I look for certain things. A, is it just a makeshift team? Are people doing the tag team right? Are they coming out together? Do they look like they belong together? They come out to the same song. Sometimes two tag teams, they'll have a tag team, but like they'll come out separately.
Well, that's all depends on like the story they're telling. Like technically at the Thursday show, that was mine and Red Dog's first time ever teaming together. Like
Yeah,
I've met him a couple times. I like him as a person. He's amazing. Like he's a cool guy. Um and they want us to team. So it's like, all right, I know your stuff, you know mine, let's get it done.
how was the
And
chemistry? Chemistry was nice.
chemistry was pretty good. You know, first time teaming's always weird because you're like, hey, what can we do? How do we blend your style with my style? And that's always like the hardest part to do at first, is blending the two styles and then coming up with like moves that are yours and that no, like, can't really say no other teams are doing, because let's be honest, every move out there is being done.
Yeah,
um
but you want something that's kind of a little bit twisted, a little bit different than what the next guy's doing.
yeah.
And again, where it's kind of a makeshift team, it's not like you guys came up together, trained together. This is what we're going to be doing for the next 10 years. Like, you're learning on the fly of night of and kind of putting this stuff together. It's like, I have to say, impressive. It looked like you guys had been working. I was doing the commentary. It looked like you guys had been working for quite a while.
Yeah, and that's like how the ending of the match went. Like, he went for a suplex, I went for DDT. Hey man, like, we've talked about this. It's not that wasn't the tag move, and that led to the downfall for that night.
Yeah.
That's like, we wanted the story to be there where it shows what
Well,
we're doing. And
the next match isn't going to be so friendly for you two because you
it's gonna
guys
be
are going.
fun.
It'll be fun, but not too nice. The Void is pretty dangerous looking.
Yeah, but once you fight a actual house fire, nothing else becomes scary. Like, nothing else is scarier.
That
So
is true. I mean, I had a fire in 2010. We lost almost everything. There's nothing scarier than a house. That is true.
exactly.
Um, but Lazarus is pretty scary looking.
Yeah, everyone has a plan to get punched in the face. So y'all scary. It just takes a punch to the face and takes someone down. That's scary.
Yeah, but he's got a mask. How you know it's not made of metal?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll find out when I punch him, right?
But I do look forward to that. I've seen it's already been announced for that November Rain show.
I know. I was excited to see our match being the first one announced. I was like, yeah, because that's setting the tone.
It is. That's gonna bring some excitement to it. And again, they did have a nice victory. They were pretty dominant that night altogether. But like you said, it can just take a punch in the face.
Yeah.
Um, and they haven't felt your punch yet.
I throw kicks more, but yeah, no. That's right. No one's really have seen one of my punches because I hardly throw punches. So no,
Um,
I've seen what the Void can do. I know what they can do. They've been around. So and that's nothing. Like there's tape studies on them. Like technically speaking, I could go on YouTube, Facebook, look up a couple of their matches and see what they do and know what to expect. You can't do that with me and Red Dog.
no, that is true. No, I don't even think your Beantown match is up yet. I have a
Well,
little footage. The other guy got the cam footage, but none of the wrestlers do.
but like that's the thing. Even if they have like that footage of the one match, okay, that's our first time teaming together. That's
That doesn't.
not,
That's not
that's
the team.
that's going to be completely different from the next time we come in the ring. Because now, like me and Red Dog, we're talking on Facebook almost every day, couple days. Life happens, so we're sitting there talking and we're coming up with new ideas. We talked after the show. I've licked our wounds and sat there and like talk. Okay, what went wrong? What can we do better? What is there to expect next? Where do we go from here? Because it's like me and him, we don't give up, we don't quit. We know how to sit there and fight through the pain and do all that. So like it's simple as all right, this night happened, drop it. Let's forget about it. Like it's okay. We had a miscommunication. It's all right. How do we improve from here?
Yeah, and I mean honestly, nobody can fault the first time going out. You didn't have time, but now you guys got a whole like month almost, like you said, to talk,
Exactly.
discuss, strategize. You guys can watch tape. You guys can watch matches. You can learn all about Joey Warner. You can learn all about Lazarus. You can learn all about them all, and you can see where they do make mistakes. If they're not undefeated, they've lost matches too,
Yep.
and you can learn how and capitalize, and that does give you guys a good advantage. Um, it, now that was in Beantown. Are you working other wrestling promotions at the moment?
So funny enough, I actually got a new booking today. Um, I have a booking the 19th. Yes, the 19th. That actually just got booked because of this weekend, actually. I got a booking in the 19th in Fall Rivers. I have a booking on the 20th in Oneida, New York. I have a booking the 27th in Buffalo, New York. And that booking just happened because of this weekend that I just had. It was like, Thursday was just the start of my weekend. It was like I had 3 shows this weekend. I had the Thursday one. I had one on Friday in Taunton, and then I had one in Rochester, New York.
You're bouncing back and forth from Mass to New York.
Oh yeah,
Your toll bill must be nice.
and we don't talk about the total bills.
But Buffalo, that's interesting. A lot of my favorite wrestlers came from Buffalo on the indie scene. For a while there, Danny Garcia was out here, and Kevin Blackwood, Puff. They're all, I believe, from Buffalo out that way. They were making waves up in Limitless for a little bit.
Yeah, limit. Yeah, wow, Limitless is such a great place. Why couldn't I say that for a second?
It is a good place. One of my favorite promotions to watch. again, getting into wrestling, when I didn't know what to expect coming in 2017, 18. The first indie show I ever went to was back in the 90s. Fire or the police sold me tickets. I went there. There was nobody I could remember. I think there was one girl, Cookie Crumble. And then there was like Honky Tonk Man and stuff, and people were signing autographs that I knew from TV. Nobody knew about or even cared about the matches of the night. I stepped in 2017, 18. Everybody had a place and role. There was, a champion. There was, there was no just job. It's like maybe one, but like everybody had a role, character, uniform, outfit, whatever you want to do it, different things. And it was very well put together. That show was NCW in Dedham, and it just showed me, like the indie scene had changed, and from that I sparked. I started like going everywhere. I started going beyond Limitless. I went out to Jersey, H2O Center. Just traveled and soaked up as much of the scene as I possibly could, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah.
That must have sucked for you guys too, because in New York you couldn't wrestle, right?
No, we couldn't. The pandemic actually saved my career.
Really?
Yes, I was on the verge of quitting. I actually not even on the verge. I had a plan. I was at the time I had 3 championships. I I don't know what it was. I was killing it. Wrestling was up here. Like it was I was going good. Eyes were starting to get on me. Um I had a championship in New York for NYCW, New York Championship Wrestling. Sadly, they're no longer around. I had a championship, the Backbreakers Entertainment Cruiserweight Champion down in PA. They just changed their name. They have new owners, and they changed their name to Backbreakers. Oh, not Back. High Ground Pro Wrestling. And then I had a championship up in this was it Rhode Island? I think it was Rhode Island, but I can't remember their home. I think it might have been Mass, but I can't remember their home base was anymore because it was at the Chop Shop too. It was
Yeah,
Mass.
yeah. Maybe
It was
RWA or Proving Ground or
it was
Going
it was
Out.
Mass. It was Mass Anarchy Wrestling.
Oh, Massillon, yeah. Chop
Yeah,
Shop had so many shows going there.
yeah. They had
I'm
MA.
sad that they kinda closed too because a lot of promotions had a home there.
I'm sad they closed the Chop Shop because like there was Mass and there was Mass Anarchy Wrestling, RICW, Proving Ground was there, RWA.
Yeah, RWA
Okay.
was
I
there,
want to make sure because I like RWA. I want to make sure I got their abbreviation right.
because then there's
Um,
also RW, I think that ran there too for a little bit of reunion
like
wrestling.
there's a lot of there was a lot of companies there, but it was kind of cool to have like that center there. It was really cool. But
It reminded me kind of like Ridgemont Field down in, like, Jersey, where, like, there's this show is constantly happening
yeah,
in one spot, and I like that because you can go any
uh,
night of the week and see wrestling.
exactly. But so I had like 3 championships, but like so wrestling was up here, but my personal life was in the gutter. I mean, I was in the lowest point in my life ever. Um, and I just wasn't there anymore. So I was like, you know what? Once I drop these 3 titles, I'm done. So ran the course with MAW title, dropped it to Osiris. Um, ran the course with the Cruiserweight Championship, which to this day is one of my favorite title runs I've ever had in my life. The entire story of it from start to finish was perfect. I mean, not perfect, obviously. There were flaws because nothing in wrestling is perfect. But like I felt great about it from
Yep.
start to finish.
Yeah.
We had a couple road bumps, but I I remember laying there after dropping the belt and the 1, 2, 3, and I remember smiling because the crowd popping, all that. I couldn't help but smile and be like, that magic we just made. So I had one more title to drop. The show was coming up, and then COVID hit and shut everything down. So I sat with the title. I'm like, well, I can't drop it. Like, I'm not gonna vacate the title unless the promotion said, hey, we're gonna have all champions vacate the title. But no,
Some people had their longest title runs in 2020.
yeah. I mean, I kind of stopped mine. Like, I stopped counting after everything shut down. After like a month after everything shut down, I don't add any of that up. But I had that title for over a year, and that's
Uh,
not including
yeah,
COVID. So
and so with that time and the time to think, it was like I guess they pulled you back in somehow, huh?
yeah, it was. I was gonna give it a couple shots, give it a try. I went up to Supernova Wrestling. They were doing some tapings, so I went up there um, to kind of just wrestle. It's been a bit. Why not? I kind of miss this, so I went up there, and I think within one match, I laid there on the ground and said, I remember after the cameras cut because it was tapings. I remember after the cameras cut, I literally said I beeping miss this, and I've been back since.
Did you work? Did you end up doing double duty this week? Did you work Friday night Supernova show too?
Yep, I
That was in
worked.
the arcade, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it
I,
looked fun. I've seen video of it. It looked interesting with all the machines around and stuff.
I got to wrestle my best friend. We met in PA. We started as rivals, and we became really good friends because of this business. And we've wrestled against each other all over the place. Um, we went against him. His name is the Madness of Trip. Dude is from Buffalo, New York. The guy, you want to talk about knowledge? He is very knowledgeable. He has helped me ever since I've met him. My course in wrestling has changed since I've met him. He has helped me with my character. He's helped me with my abilities. He always pushes me to do better. And I got to wrestle him and got to sit there and beat each other up in an arcade and get a picture in the photo booth while we're
Oh,
beating the
that's
hell out
fun.
of each other.
Oh, that's
I
fun. I
I
have
love
to
it.
say.
There's my Facebook profile picture is after the match. It's us with that photo, and he has the photo right now. He's gonna make copies of it.
That's
He
awesome.
has yeah, he has someone who can do it. So I trust him to do it because if I try to do it, I'll mess it up.
Though. That's fun though. I mean, it's the little things like that and the memories and the people that we meet along the way and the people that we meet in this, like you know, um, they make this industry kind of special in a way
Oh
because
yeah.
you make these friendships and they end up lasting forever. And you do have careers with people that you just coincide with and you come up together and you do work well off each other. Even if it's rivalry, it's still there's still all these constructive criticism and friendship and bonding.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Joseph, he married me and my wife last year. He was the officiated, did a wonderful job. We told him go have fun. Rated R, don't care, just go have fun.
oh
I've never seen a wedding start with a bestiality joke. Um,
boy.
yeah, that was so awesome. I told him I'm ready for anything you have to say. I was not ready for that. Um, but he married me and my wife. He's the godfather of my son. So like definitely that friendship has exceeded past wrestling. And then there's two guys I train with. They're not just wrestling guys, man. They're my best friends. Like, sure, we formed a team together called the Wayward. So I got a self plug here, man. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever you wanna do, go.
But we formed a tag team called the Waywards. Um, and there's three of us, and we started teaming, and like literally my passion because of that group has come back. Um, so like before I admit I haven't been really enjoying it. Um, but they brought back my passion. I've been loving going to wrestling. I've been enjoying it. And the group, we're just starting out. We're just trying to get off our feet, just like how me and Red Dog are too. So like we've all, I got like two different groups going on at once, and it's been very interesting. So
That sounds like fun, and a trios is always something fun too. 'Cause you can
oh
work
yeah,
off like two different people. You could be this other person, and like you said, they're your best friends. So like you cannot have fun with it. And I
no,
think that's the end of the day when people start to not have fun. Maybe that's when it's time to give up the boots because it's something you should have fun doing. I believe.
oh definitely. In
Um,
my eyes, there's a time to take it serious. I mean, it really should be every time. But there are some shows that you do, and you just gotta go. You know what? Let's just have fun.
well, yeah, I mean, I think the seriousness comes in the safety part, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
safe. You're not. No one's going to hurt each other. We're going to do this. All that protective stuff. But you're also going to go out there and have fun. You're going to work off each other. If you see the crowd going away, you're going to make jokes. You're going to just go and have a good time because, again, like it's a passion. I'm guessing you as a kid watched wrestling, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what probably led you into wanting to be a wrestler.
Yeah. My favorite wrestler back there when I was watching was Kane.
You loved Kane, right? He was
Yeah.
awesome, and I can tell you right now, if you just mention the name Kane, they just had Bad Blood, the new one.
Yep.
The original one is when I first saw him. He rips the thing off. It's like, oh my god, it's got to be Kane, and that imagery is just like stuck in my head. But this wrestling, it hits us when we're very young, and these things become just impressionable and stuck with us.
Oh yeah. I used to get in trouble all the time for staying up late because I would watch wrestling. Like I'd sit there and hide in a corner. Like I'd leave wrestling on. Mom would tell me to go to bed. I would sneak off in my room. I would go to my room. I would sneak out. Wrestling would still be on. I had a little corner I would hide in. I mean, I always got caught. She knew, but I always try to sneak off to watch wrestling.
Oh yeah, I
Actually,
mean even in school, I mean almost every day somebody was getting suspended for telling somebody else to suck it. Constantly, constantly.
oh yeah,
Even myself included. Like I got in trouble. Like people have gotten in trouble. But wrestling was big. I was talking about it earlier. Like me and my friends, we were so into it. Like we were able to finesse. We had to do a science project on evolution, and I did the evolution of WWE, and I went through like the lineage from WWF to WWF to, and the guy couldn't do nothing but accept it and take it as a valid project. And wrestling was just that mainstream at the time that like people were accepting it. I don't know if it would be accepted today. I don't know if it would be accepted, back before that. But at that time when Attitude Era was running wild, people were very, everybody was talking
oh yeah. I
about
mean, hell, in school, I painted my. I had we were having like our spirit week, and one of the days they were talking about like painting, like painting your face or something, and I went in early. I had my art teacher paint my face as the hurricane.
oh, that's
And
awesome.
so I had the hurricane face painted on me all day. Um, and of course, I got a chance to actually meet him at the Monster Factory. Did a little seminar by him. And of course, I told him this story. I had to. I had to be
Yeah,
a mark. I had to be, but I mean, like, I liked the hurricane, so I
you
had
good.
to. I had to be a mark.
I mean, I'll tell you this. My friend, he was a really big Owen Hart fan, and when Owen passed away, it devastated him. I don't know if it was the best way to tribute it, but the kid, his mother made him an 100% replica of Blue Blazer outfit. He came into school with it. Came into school with it. It was fine at first, and then he just all of a sudden he started running through the halls, and he pelted the math teacher with marshmallows, and like really started to make a spectacle. Next thing you
Yeah,
know, I seen him getting like hauled away, and like he was never allowed back in the school. But people did that stuff. People, every morning I wouldn't know. Like I said, I'd walk into school. Somebody might hit me with a spare. Somebody might hit you with a stunner. Somebody might literally like just kick you, stun you. And like back then, it's not worked. Everybody, it was like early, 2000s, and so like ECW was popping off, and
yep.
people were playing in the backyard with barbed wire. It was all pandemonium. It was just chaos. Um, but everybody wanted to do something with wrestling. That Beyond the Mat had just come out. That got everybody's attention. Oh, it's like that. Okay, we can do that. Um, it was a wild time thinking back. And thinking how different of a whole industry it is now. And I mean, that's what I was gonna ask you. I mean, like when you walked in 2010 to now, I mean, how different is it?
It's, I gotta say, night and day. I mean, just alone in my school, we didn't, you didn't step foot in the ring. My first like month, I didn't even get the chance to step in the ring. I was learning how to do lockups, and it was like that for an entire month. Um, and now I, in my school now, like we're usually the same way. We don't we tr- we teach people to do headlocks first, or not headlocks, but lockups, and then after a bit you get in the ring. But I've noticed people are getting in the ring a lot faster, and some like and just but the atmosphere, the way people look at it it's definitely night and day difference.
How about the locker room? How is that? Is that like different? Like the atmosphere in the locker room, the way people act, and like egos and stuff. Is that kind of changed?
So for the locker room aspect, I can only go from like 2015 because before, even though like I was doing a bunch of ring crew for 2CW back when I first started, because that was one of the things as a student was the school I went to. We had connection with 2CW, which 2CW in this area was very, very huge. Like they were like probably one step away from getting a national TV deal. I mean, you had every name there was going through that door to 2CW. So we did ring crew for them. Uh, but so my first time in a locker room was in 2015. And honestly, the locker room from just the 9 years, they haven't they haven't changed that much. I think it's
It,
just more feels like I now get and understand a lot more. Um,
I think like like early 2000 locker rooms and late 90s locker rooms were much different.
oh yeah, without a doubt, they're completely different.
And just just the way people conduct themselves, and just the inclusivity of what wrestling has become too. You
Yeah,
have a lot more, intergender matches now, and women's matches, and tag matches, and trios matches, and all sorts of different characters. Again, it's not just all athletes or people with muscles. You do have the little people. You have people that aren't in shape. You have a whole cast of characters now that makes up a locker room. But that's also what makes a show good. It makes it entertaining.
yeah, because you have all these different, let's say, flavor of ice creams. You know, you're
Yeah,
going through these shows, and sure, you may not like strawberry ice cream, but you like chocolate flavor ice cream, and like as a just an example, like there's just so many different things at a show that you can see.
it is, and I think like I said, back in the day it was more just some of the. If you go back and watch even some of the earlier like wrestling, it's not as entertaining 'cause it's just like chiseled body versus chiseled body, or like two athletes. And granted, it's more. Some of it was more wrestling, some was more tossing around, but less flavors altogether.
I still love watching early like 80s, 90s wrestling. I mean, you want to do some tape studies and really learn how to wrestle,
Oh yeah, that I
you
mean,
got to
I'll
watch
be on.
80s and 90s.
I'll be honest. Like again, growing up in the '80s, that's what hooked me. WrestleMania 2 hooked me. When I saw King Kong Bundy and Hogan going at it in a cage, I said, "What the hell is this? This is insane. This is great." And then I started to get into it and watch some things, and then obviously as we could get more television. I got a little older. I got access to magazines and cards and other things. I get more into it. And the figures came out. I could really get, in games, and all the stuff would come about it. But those 80s, early 90s, between Hogan run and then Bret Hart taking over and then HBK and everything that was happening, then I started to get into a little bit of WCW and started watching that in the later 90s. Then went back and watched their earlier stuff because I had only been like able to watch pay per views at the time because of the television. Like I used to watch like Halloween Havoc, but nothing more. So I went back and caught those, and like honestly, after 2003 and 4, I stopped watching pro wrestling to about 2018. And I know it's not good. I've watched indie shows, but for TV wrestling, I very rarely went back in between those time slots to watch it. I know there's good matches, but I'm really am stuck kind of on the 80s, 90s, even 70s wrestling. Like when you get like Ernie Ladd coming out and the Grand Wizard of Wrestling and all these other characters, it's like wow, they were doing something totally different for their time.
Oh yeah, the evolution of wrestling, just watching from old, like simple headlock could end a match back then, which is awesome, by the way. It means less hurt on my body. I'll take it. But now, like, you look at today, I get why they have to do it sometimes, but you see someone's finishers 3 times. You know, like example would be like at WrestleMania when you saw Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Cody hit
Yep.
3 crossroads to finish the match. Now, it made sense because they built Roman up to be this massive beast. So that made sense. But like it is kind of getting a little tiring. You seeing, people kicking out people finishers. It's
Well, yeah, because then it kind of takes away from that finishing move, and then what do you have to do in a regular match? Does that work? And then how do you up it? If three doesn't work, then what are you gonna like seven of them?
it's
It's only so many you can do before the crowd's like, well, this is garbage.
it's unfortunately the evolution. Like soon it might be, in a couple of years it might be. You might see 7 finishers done to the same person.
Well, I mean, either the wrestlers are getting more stronger or the finishers are getting weaker.
It's just the evolution. It's
But it's also part of the storytelling. I mean, that's
yeah,
what keeps the suspense, right? If you look at it from, forget about the logistics and all that. If you look at it from the storyline, you see these two people. It's almost like if they were having like an action movie, we had a gunfight, and these two are shooting each other, and each one is getting hit with a bullet every time. Who's gonna drop first? Oh my God, they've each taken 7 shots. It's kind of the same thing.
well,
They're
yeah.
using these big moves. They're trying to take each other out.
If the story is there and the psychology is there on why you need to hit this person with multiple finishers, then be like it makes sense. It does because like you knew during that match if Cody could hit 3 and with the atmosphere and everything, you knew it was done. You knew it was over when he would hit it. And but again, like I mean, it was the same thing with Brock Lesnar. Look at when he was there. People were hitting Brock Lesnar with multiple finishers, but they built him up to be a monster. So like,
Same
I
thing with
mean,
Bray Wyatt, and that made
yeah,
sense too. Is trying to beat the Fiend with multiple finishes. Well, that makes sense.
yeah. Like if the psychology is there, sure, go ahead and hit multiple finishers. But like on an indie show, like
Yeah, no, not really
let's
necessary.
let's be realistic. Someone hit me with a finisher. They don't have to hit 3 finishers to keep me down. Like, let's be honest.
No, I mean unless they're a half your size and maybe a kid. I mean, I don't even know like. Yeah, it doesn't. There's no logistic for it. And then again, I don't know what storyline that you'd be telling. I mean, unless it was like a last man standing match or something where you needed to be knocked out cold and
Yeah,
can't get up
then
ever. Then fine, hit me with all three so I never get up. But
yeah, that
just to
but
pin you, that's one and done.
but that last man standing match makes sense.
Well, yeah,
But
that would be the
I'm
psychology of how you'd
yeah,
work it. But
I'm very
but
big on that.
well, that's the key to learning how to be successful in wrestling and entertaining in wrestling is to understand the psychology. How are you going to get your crowd to have their brain make this make sense? Because you're in a universe that doesn't necessarily have to make sense, guided by laws that of the regular universe. Because every wrestling is like a multiverse. You go into this one, this guy's this guy. You go into there, these rules are there. So now you have to make these rules and everything makes sense for me to understand what's going on. So I want to come back and get invested.
That's why the famous say, "Less is more."
It is. If you overcomplicate it, you're gonna lose the common fan. They're
Yep.
gonna be like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yep. You gotta. I've always got told. Got to give that chance for that little kid to reach down, grab a piece of popcorn, go up and eat it.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a million moves, that kid's gonna miss. You do 6 moves, he's gonna miss like 5 of them. If you're going bam, 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 bam. But if you're taking your time, that's one, less bumps on your body. So you can have a longer career, because let's be honest, bumping sucks.
Yeah, there's no easy way around it, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it every match. Depending on how many times you do it, well, that's up to, I guess, you and your match, but you have to do it. You're not getting in a match without bumping.
I could.
Well, maybe if you can work.
I've done a match where it's 4 of us in the ring, not a single one of us bumped.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That must have been interesting.
It was the best. It was amazing.
So I'm thinking, like, I've seen shoot fights be worked, and like they won't really bump; they'll kind of just cower down or go slower
Collapse,
down.
yeah.
Collapse.
Or you go in the corner and you get beat down in the corner.
Yeah, you just get beat down and slowly go down. But I mean,
Well,
yes, there's ways of preserving it. But every time you bump, it does take like a little bit off your career. You bump 100 times in a match, and you do 10 matches. Like, oh.
Every person that has ever stepped inside the ring has a predetermined bump card. That is the amount of bumps you can take in your career. It has already been predetermined, not by you, not by anyone else. Just it's a number of how much of your body you can take. And it's all predetermined. And once that card gets full, it's not much you can do.
No, your body can only do so much. And after surgeries and surgery, it's like, I mean, even look at the WWE guys. They've lost, a lot of them can't walk, move right, do anything right. And that's even top stars, or people that were champions in the industry at one point. They have a lot of struggles today.
It takes a toll. Like I can feel it in my back. I can feel it in my knees. I know I'm going to need knee surgeries when I get older. So I know that's coming. I'm not looking forward to that.
No, that doesn't sound like fun. But and that's all avoiding all that. This is all basic stuff. And I mean, like natural progression stuff. But then you're also always avoiding injury, and that's something that can happen even in the best of circumstances. Totally, everything perfect, and you just like a little millisecond off, and somebody gets hurt.
I've dislocated my knees a couple times in the ring just from I did a Pele kick one time, and I kicked a guy, and my knee just nothing went wrong. Everything went right. He was a big guy, and when I hit him with my knee, well, something had to give that moment, and it was my knee. I've dislocated my knees doing suicide dives. I've seen people break their forearms. I saw someone sprain their sprain their ankle pretty good on Friday. Injuries,
but they happen. It's not
happen.
Even like I said, the most well trained you've seen, even on WWE. Stone Cold broke his neck. There was nothing wrong in that incident. The poor guy Droz, he got paralyzed. There's nothing that was done wrong in that match.
Well, injuries usually happen not in the moves that you are doing for the first time. It's never those moves. It's the moves that you have done a million times.
You get too lax, huh?
Yep.
Is that what it is? You kind of like, I can do it, and it's like, no, it's like, you
kind of just
that edge.
You kind of don't even think about it or the possibility, and it's just your body just happened to maybe land just right, or it might just be wear and tear. It's just something I've noticed watching my friends get injured or watching people get injured, or it's never the move they've done.
It's like my car. It's not like the wheel never like fell off when I was driving on the highway. It always falls when like I pull over and stop.
Yeah,
then it falls down. The rim breaks.
It's the wear and tear. It happens, unfortunately. Like I don't want to see anyone get hurt.
No, injuries
I
are terrible because it doesn't only affect your wrestling, or then affects your real job, everything else in your life. Like
yeah,
you can't do shit. You're not getting insurance. No one's paying you to stay home. You're losing all
no.
sorts of freaking things.
And some people, like, there are some people out there that are just doing wrestling for fun. It's just what they like to do on the weekends. Me personally, I want to make a career out of this. At one point, wrestling was paying my bills. Um, and it's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make a career. I'm trying to, you know, leave, be gone from my son, my wife for 3 days, and then come back and be like, hey, I'm sorry I'm gone for 3 days, but here's this money, like that's a
And
lot
now I
better
can
than
see
just
you for the other 4 days. Yeah, it's like,
yeah, and it's a lot better than just, hey babe, sorry I was gone for 3 days. I had fun though. Like um like this weekend. Like I'll use this weekend for example. I left in the green. Um And not only that, like, hey, here's some extra money for us. Plus, I just lined up 3 to 4 other bookings because of how this weekend went.
yeah. I mean, you're coming back to Beantown in November just right off the bat. I mean,
Yep.
and then like you said, other people saw you wrestling on Friday. They brought you in, plus all the shows. So it all leads up, and the more you do that, well, the more times you're gonna get to come
Yep.
back, or places you're gonna
Going
go. You never know who's at a show watching. You never know what promoters there. You never know what clip of yours might go viral somewhere that someone might
yeah.
see and say, "I want this guy. This guy looks good." I
All
mean, we're in
it
that world.
all it takes is the right eyes at the right time for you to get an opportunity. And that's all we need. Is Matt Condona has been saying like he's always ready, and he's right. You have to be always ready. It's not just you have to wait for the opportunity. It's you go knocking down that door of opportunity, and you show people why you're ready. And this weekend, like there are times where I feel like I know what I'm doing. There's other times I feel like I am the worst wrestler that has ever stepped foot in that ring. This weekend I was lucky. I had 3 really good matches. At Beantown I had a really good match. At Supernova I had a really good match, and that got me booked. No, I'm doing this. I'm wrestling for Never Quit Wrestling, doing that for a friend because I owe him a lot in this business. He asked me, hey, man, I got this booking opportunity. I really want to face you. Can you come in? I got you, man. So,
There you go. I mean,
got
and that's
Never
how
Quit
it is.
Wrestling. Um, and then when I went and wrestled for Upstate Pro Wrestling on Saturday, I went in and did a triple threat tag match, which I've never done one of those before. Very interesting. They did elimination style, which was
Oh
really
wow,
cool.
that'll be fun. That's fun.
Um, I wrestled one of the tag teams in there. One was called Sudden Discomfort. No, not Discomfort. That's a different team. Sudden Hospitality. And
Okay.
the other tag team was called Dangerous Game. One of the members of the Dangerous Game, his name is Shadowcat. He does a lot for the. I'm unfortunately, please don't get mad. I'm not going to be political correct here, but this is what they call their shows. It's the midget wrestling. The
Oh
little
yeah.
people.
Which
Yeah.
which one is it? Which one? I know a few of them.
His name is Shadowcat.
No, but which on promotion?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure which one. I think it's the one with want to say Robbie the Giant.
Okay. Yep. That's a good one.
Um, he does a lot for them. He was their champion at one point recently. I think he still is. I don't think he is. Um, and but I went against them too, and we had chemistry. Me and my friend, Flip Ribs, we had chemistry, and with that tag team, which then got us, the booking. Got us the booking October 27th for Nickel City Wrestling out in Buffalo. So
Okay.
it's this weekend has just like
It's lined
red.
you up nicely.
It is. it's just snowballing. And sure, like these are, you know, so like these are small little steps. And I'm not using the right word here, so please bear with me. Um, but like everything in wrestling is just tiny little steps. It's not like the big step that you have to notice. It's the tiny ones.
Yeah, I mean,
And
sometimes you don't need that big show right off the bat. You're gonna work a bunch of different shows. You're gonna get noticed at a bunch of different places. You're gonna build your fan base. You're gonna build local fans. You're gonna build people that are gonna come and see you. You don't need
and
to
then
go so much as, hey, oh, I got this big match and it's gonna be one big match and I'm working for this big promotion. It's like, yeah, but you're actually gonna get more exposure doing what you're doing, taking these little steps, going here, there, getting your name out there.
I'm not even saying like little step like these promotions are little. Like please don't
No, not
misunderstand.
like that. But when I'm
Yeah,
talking like
I
big, like I'm
just
saying,
want to
like
make sure that like
you're not going to like MLW for a match right now.
oh I would love that. But exactly like these every little steps you take, the podcasts, the different shows, the getting a fan base, getting to interact fans, getting people to see you. These are all little steps that takes.
You can't do it
So
overnight.
yeah,
Not
so
not
when you go, you get that big opportunity with WWE, AEW, TNA, MLW, ROH, like those little tryouts, all those like yeah, those are the big steps. Let's admit because that's where everyone wants to end up. Everyone wants to end up in WWE, and there's people that want to end up in AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, MLW, like New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like those
yeah.
are like the massive big steps. But beforehand, before you even get there, there's all these
Yeah.
steps.
And those little like the little steps you're calling it though is like they're not even steps. It's like learning too. You're gonna learn so much on that journey
Oh
that it's
yeah.
worth it to take that trip, even if it's not easy, even if you fail 10 times and you have to re-gimmick yourself. It doesn't matter. You're
Oh,
gonna learn along the way.
in my career, I have restarted so many times. And I mean, just so many times. But it's, I've never, like, it's frustrating when you have to restart, but it's kind of a breath of fresh air sometimes. Cause, like, yeah, COVID made me have to restart after it felt like I'm not even, I knew my character. I knew who Dante Dio was as a heel. I was killing it as a heel. I never felt more confident in my career, and it showed because I had three promotions trusting me with their championships. I was getting booked. I was literally looking at that metaphor like wall or the next door, whatever you want to call it, and I was ready to break that down. I just needed the right eyes, and I could feel people watching. Hell, I was supposed to make I was actually supposed to make my proving ground debut before COVID. COVID
Oh,
ruined that
oh,
for
you were
me.
going to that match with the steel cage. I actually had
Uh
tickets to that match.
no, it was so when Proving Ground was doing their online little tournaments,
Oh,
um
okay.
I was a part of it right before COVID. I was a part of
Oh,
it. I
okay.
was part of the 2021. I got told, does not matter win or lose, you are going to debut at this show. If you win it, you'll go against Mike Montero. If not, I got something for you. Now, COVID unfortunately ruined that, which is okay. Again, COVID saved my career, but I had a feeling get my foot in that door and I can get more eyes on me, some new eyes, people that have never seen me. I could get more views on me.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, every show you step into, every promotion is a different universe. Some of the fans, yes, there's wrestling fans that go to every show, but then there's fans that only stick to one or two promotions.
Yep.
You want to get
Beantown,
those
Beantown,
because Beantown's
new
totally different.
new eyes, new universe, new people get to see me. And I got to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a very long time. I saw Dante there. I saw Bo Douglas. I haven't seen since before COVID. He looks
Yep,
amazing.
he was
And
good, right? He looked good. Him and his
yeah,
missus did a good job.
and we have so me, Dante, and Bo, we have a kind of a good story at Fenway Park. when they were doing their shows there. I ended up getting my head busted open. Like you can kind of see it right there. It's a little red.
Oh yeah.
I got my head busted open there at Fenway Park and I have blood everywhere at Fenway Park.
Oh man.
And it seems like whenever I get my EMT license is when I get injured. Because I just got my EMT license at that show, like right a couple months before that show, got my head busted open. So I knew what to do. But it seems like whenever I get my EMT license, I get injured.
Well, at least you know what to do, and at least you're licensed to do it.
Yes. Well, en masse, I do not. The only state I can practice my EMT skills are in New York.
But if something was to happen, at least you know how to do it.
Oh, yeah. No, you can sue me later. I'm gonna if it's life or death, I'm gonna be there. You can sue me later.
Would somebody sue you for saving their life?
It has happened.
Really? Not like
Yep.
you personally, or just in
Not
really?
not me
Not-
personally. There
But
are
it does happen.
Yep, there has been EMTs who have gotten sued for giving CPR to someone, and they sued them for sexual assault.
But if they didn't get the CPR, they wouldn't. They would be dead.
Yep, that's. Mhm.
Wow, that's shady. I'm sorry, that's shitty.
You are completely correct there.
Yeah, that's a whole new low. Wow. Let me ask you. I got a few more questions. We'll wrap things up. Let me ask you. What would you recommend to anybody right now wanting to get into this industry?
If you're looking to get into this industry, find a school and do your research on the trainer. Is very, as we said earlier, is very important to know your basics and to be taught by someone who is knowledgeable. Knowledgeable? Yes, that's how you pronounce it. In this business. It is very, very important that you get properly trained on how to do this because your safety in that ring is just as important as my safety in that ring.
It is, and like there's a lot of trust that goes into it because you're kind of in charge of um your opponent's safety, and you put your safety in your hands of your opponent.
No, as soon as I let you take me off that mat as a simple body slam, I'm giving you my full trust that you are going to put me down safely. And I have seen people get injured off a body slam. Hell, I've dislocated a knee before. That was
I took one time. A guy was, and this was my stupidity, but he just got used to giving body slams. And he's like, anybody want to take one? I'm like, fine. It was fine. It was a good body slam, but I have to say, just never taking one myself, I was scared shitless because I didn't know if this guy was going to drop me straight on my head or land me on my back. But everything did work out. That trust has to be there. The whole match, you'll be scared. You'll be nervous the whole match, and it'll just drain your energy.
And none of that. Your nervousness will lead to injury. If you are scared and nervous about every little thing, you're gonna mess up, which is gonna lead to more mess ups, which then could possibly lead to an injury.
You want to stay limber like anything else. You don't want to be so rigid and stiff that anything can break your bones. Makes sense though. Now we will see you November 8th again. You'll be with Red Dog taking on the Void. That'll be a great tag team match. Where else can we find you again? You want to let the fine people know?
You can catch me in Fall River in not this week but next week for Never Quit Wrestling, which hasn't been announced. So no. You can catch me in Buffalo, which could be a little drive, but it's worth the drive on the 27th of October. Then Beantown. And then the week after, you can catch me in Taunton, Massachusetts for Supernova Wrestling. I know there's more, and I cannot think of it right now, which I know there's more. But those are like the ones off the top of my head right now.
Well, I'll ask you my last question because this will help you with the more. Do you have social media?
Yes, I do.
Where can folks find you? Because then they can
Oh,
see everything. I'm pretty sure.
yes. You can find me on Facebook off of Dante Dio, um, which is gonna. Unfortunately, I have two. I have one old one, because I forgot the password. um, but send both friend requests to both of them. You'll get accepted to one of them, and that's the working one. Um, you can you can find me on Facebook at Dante Dio. You can find me on Instagram at Dante_DOX. And those are the two main platforms that I'm on that I use. I do have YouTube. It's just simply Dante Dio. Um, I just
Is
those are
that
like
first match? Is your first match up on that YouTube?
no,
We
no.
gotta
My
get
first
that digitalized and put it up there.
no, the first match is staying on that not flash drive, but staying on that CD, and is never going to be seen.
It has one of those things: do not watch, do not destroy on it. Right?
No, it doesn't. It's a blank CD in a blue case that I know, and I know exactly where it is at all time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll show people because it's funny.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody starts somewhere, and again, it's something you were
Exactly.
thrown into.
Yeah.
And you didn't get injured that night, which is good too.
No. No. It took
So
me a good three. I want to say 3 years of my career before I even got any type of injuries.
well, that's impressive, I have to say. And 9 years is impressive, honestly, in wrestling because wrestling's not easy. There's
No.
a lot that goes into it. It's not just physical drain. There's a lot of mental drain. You gotta, plan yourself. In your case, you're trying to make a living. You gotta make your booking. You gotta land your booking. You gotta talk to a lot of people. Really put yourself out there. Merch game, everything.
Yep, and I take time away from my son, which I know I know he was able to be here. He was calling my name. Um, like I take time away from my son, and I love my son so much. I even left one of my jobs that was good paying for
How old's
him.
your son?
He'll be 3 in December.
Nice. Mine just turned 6, and those young ages, they're so much fun. You can
Yes,
actually enjoy the time and play, and they're still nice to you.
yeah. So I mean, it
It's
is a
always a
mentally
battle. It's
toll.
always a battle. You're fighting. You don't really want to leave the family, but you're doing something good. You're bringing money back. If
Yep.
you were working somewhere else, you'd have to do the same thing. So I get it. I understand.
I mean, days where
Thank
my
you.
sorry,
Oh, no,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, no,
Uh,
no, go.
there's days when my wife have off from work. They come with me. She'll come with me to Mass. She'll come with me to Fall River. She'll come with me to Maine. And he'll come and he loves it.
Nice, nice. Because yeah, I want to say, well, maybe about 4. I started to bring my son to some wrestling shows. 3, I don't know. It depends. 4, I know the first one I brought him to, and I actually had to do something with it. Um, I was like, doing ring announcing. I got like jumped, and he got so upset because he saw me get hurt. He didn't understand anything. He tried to rush the ring, my friend. Like everybody had to pull him back, but now he
I
understands a little bit more.
I think his first wrestling show was at 3 months old.
Oh wow, nice.
Yep.
Well, that's great, and it is about the next generation of people, not just the wrestlers, but also the kids getting into wrestling because that's who's going to be the next fans. Those are the people they're going to be watching.
Yep.
You want that passed on. You want to teach them what you enjoyed, what you learned in wrestling, and what you got into it. Like I allow my son to watch I let him watch all the old '80s and '90s stuff. He loves like Big Boss Man and Rick Rude and stuff. He
Yep.
loves those characters.
He might be the next Dante Dio Jr.
Never know. You never know what can happen unless you try. But
Yeah.
thank you for coming out. Thanks for talking. I can't wait to check you out on the scene. There's a few matches I probably might. I know there's 2 that I probably will be at, and more that I'm going to try to be at. And I can look for some matches that you've been on too.
Oh, there's a ton on YouTube. Like my YouTube channel has a lot of my recent ones. Um, and you can catch a lot of my older ones, which unfortunately I've watched some of them, and it's like I've come a long ways from that.
So that's what I like about the industry. You can watch somebody's arc. You can see them when they were here, and then you can see them when they're here. And some of
Yep.
the people even go even high because I've known people that are in the next level. I'm sure you do too. You see people that get in, WWE contracts, AEW contracts, New Japan, anywhere. but they all started at some point, wrestled around locally.
Yep. I mean, there's someone in that's wrestling MLW right now, and I remember wrestling him at Showcase.
Who, BRG, right?
Yep.
Yeah, see?
I
And he's a
love seeing
perfect case.
that.
I first came into 2017. He was NCW's world champion. He's the one that I saw, and I looked. I was like, wow, they're letting littler guys wrestle now. This is awesome. He's not a menacing guy. He's very, looks great. And then I see his work. I see his charisma. I see his moves. And I'm like, wow. Things have changed, and I've watched him grow. He went into Limitless. He did Let's Wrestle Champion. He did stuff out in Showcase. He did stuff out in South Shore, all over the place. Live Pro Wrestling. What
It's
else out there?
very,
There's a bunch. There's a lot.
it's very
and
nice to see where he was to where he is
now
now.
where he is. Same thing with like Channing Thomas. I'm watching him grow and grow and grow. But I've seen people like Anthony Green make it to the other side. Christian Casanova make it to the other side. MJF, he was around here for a little bit, up in Maine doing his thing. But we live in the lucky world. That's why I love indie wrestling, because you do get to see it. You get to see all aspects of it. You get to see people start. You get to see people finish. You get to see people grow, enjoy, live their dreams, finish their stories, do it all. I thank you for coming on. I really do.
Anytime, man. Just hit me up if you ever want to do another one.
Sounds good. And thank you, everybody, for watching at home. I really appreciate it. And as always, support indie wrestling. Versace Stoner, out.
In the ring within the jail, gloves are on and ready to thrill. November rain's got us in its grip. Every move under the icy wave.